Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Minky Kernacs with me here today. Minky is a data and security expert, speaker, and technology leader with 24 plus years of experience in technology and data strategy. She's a recognized speaker, a seasoned technologist, and an innovative leader who transforms complex challenges into real-world AI solutions. Born out of her experiences with the public sector, Minky founded Mercurio Analytics. Welcome to the show, Minky.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right. So let's start by giving us sort of a snapshot of Mercurio Analytics.
I know it's a mouthful, right?
I'm having trouble.
So Mercurio is really about empowering state and local government agencies as well as federal, but really state and local government agencies to use technology to provide the right tools for their staff to help people, help their staff help people. So really getting people, when we're talking about homelessness, addiction, crime, all of that, really getting people integrated back into the community. And it really supports the recovery-oriented model of care, which means that really supporting people throughout the entire process of getting back integrated into the community.
Okay. Can you dive into a little bit more of that? How different foundations or organizations are helping other people, or is it the people within the organization as well?
Sure. So it's a government agency. So what we do, let me give you a little background on it.
Sure.
So back in 1979, we had a federal agency called the Health, Education, and Welfare Department that had all of the information on everyone receiving public services. Back in 1979, because there was such a demand for services, they couldn't take people in fast enough. So they actually broke up that agency to improve the intake process. What happened was they broke the exit process. So now we had different agencies for a lot of people, but they started getting stuck in the system and just a revolving door from one agency to the next. So what we do is we take that holistic approach of putting the puzzle pieces back together for local agencies so they have the complete picture or a digital twin of that individual receiving services. So when we look at the homeless problem, everybody has a different story, but they have fall into patterns. How do you help that individual that has addiction, substance use disorder, or mental health challenges, as opposed to a 17-year-old child that's just been kicked out of their home? You know, two different scenarios, but they're giving the same solution for both.
Right.
And one may work and the other won't. And they'll just keep going through the system. So we provide that entire story of that individual so that the frontline staff, as well as the policymakers, can understand what are the community challenges and what programs do we need to create for our specific community to help our constituents thrive. So we're looking at public safety as well as economic development and how do you make a city different. So I think a lot of people have heard this story already. We helped Philadelphia reduce homelessness by 20% within the first year of implementation,
Nice.
40% over the past 5 years consistently. Wow. And Philly is no different from LA, Seattle, Chicago, New York. And the only thing that they have is the information. So that's how they can actually say, they can provide targeted services, trauma-informed services. So that's what we
not just some generic.
Exactly. It's technology is great, consulting is great. We have the platform, but they've been around for 50 years, and the problems are just getting worse. So obviously, that's not the solution. It's how do you use the technology and consulting.
Okay, so they're antiquated, and you mentioned AI in your descriptor. So talk a little bit about how you use that to help them, how you use your software to leverage that for them.
Of course. So, with any AI solution, especially when it comes to public safety and people's lives, we want to be very, very careful how we implement AI. And we don't want to create a minority report type of environment either, right? So it's creating that solid data foundation that you can throw any AI on top of. We actually in Philadelphia, we put we created an AI model. They created an AI model that improved the placement of foster care children by identifying the top three challenges that the foster care children had. So if you put yourself in a foster care child's mind, um, you know, we don't see the mental health problems. And every time a foster care child is returned, they have trauma, they have abandonment issues, they have a lot of challenges you don't see. So they created a AI model that looked at the top three challenges of that child, found the right programs within the agency, not just the department, but the agency to help that child, as well as looked at the best suited foster care home as far as like demographics and things like that, and then assigned those foster care children to those homes. That improved the successful placement. Now we're looking at, children that are actually doing much better leveraging AI. So we created that model. There are a lot of things now with generative AI that we want to make sure that we're in compliance when it comes to people's privacy. So our foundation is ideally, it's AI ready by design. So we can ask it any different question that we want and have absolute accuracy with that program. So it's really leveraging the tools that are coming out today.
Okay, and it's customizing it at an individual level.
Exactly. It's the digital twin of the community at the individual level.
Okay. Is there a lot of maybe competition in this space for working with these agencies?
Of course.
Okay.
We have the large consulting companies. We have the technology companies that are also going into consulting now. And what it is we are different from consulting and technology. We're a combination of both. So if you think about technology companies being, you were talking about real estate, being the land that you buy, the consulting companies come in with the materials, the wood and the cement. We actually have that cookie cutter home for government data. So it's already built with everything ready to go. And that's how we can actually implement within 4 to 12 months and far more affordably.
Okay, excellent. What sort of what are your candidate programs that you work with and help?
We focus primarily on social services, law enforcement, behavioral health, and mental health, and prison systems.
Okay.
So it's all of the challenge. It's all of the people that are vulnerable, and that need support. So here's a prime example. Majority of the cities that you go to, when someone has committed a crime and they've served their time 5 years in prison, right? They are released. They get $300 to $500 and a piece of paper saying, call all of these numbers for economic support, for housing, for employment services, any services they need, as well as the continuum of care of mental and behavioral health programs that they were receiving in prison. Again, I always put myself in those people's shoes. Within 2 or 3 days, you're out of money. You have nowhere to go. You are now homeless. You're cold, whatever, you're exposed to the environment. And what are you going to do? You've been released from a place that you've lived for 5 years. So now you don't have food, shelter, clothing, nor a community. So what are you going to do? What does a person do? You commit a worse crime to go back basically to home. So how do we stop that? And that is that recovery oriented model, that whatever they were receiving in prison, by connecting all of these government agencies together, you actually promote that continuum of care so they can be reintegrated into the community.
Okay. Not just kind of, you mentioned the foster system as well. I mean, my understanding is they hit a certain age and they all their stuff gets put in a bag and they're sent out. Is that similar challenge?
How horrible is that, right? These are foster care children who the parent is basically the government, and then they're kicked out at 18. And there are some programs that support them, but majority of them, foster care kids, here are some amazing statistics. 80% of them are suffer from mental health issues. 25% of them are die by the age of 24 if they and they're homeless by the age of 24 if they make it, right? They make up 60% of the trafficked population because they're so vulnerable, and they make up 20% of the prison incarcerated population. Oof. So if you think of that, a 5-year-old child being put into the foster care system, nowhere to turn, no one to help, and then kicked out on their own, that is such a hard life. I mean, we think we have hard lives when, our car breaks down. Imagine what these kids go through every single day. And how can we make that easier for the government to support, vulnerable people?
Right. We just did some volunteer service or refurbishing bicycles and stuff for foster kids and stuff, but I feel like your program is a little more impactful. Let me ask you about the sort of the geography of your work. How much of it is based here in Phoenix? How much of it is national?
So we are national. We have implemented, we're a newer company, so we've implemented in Philadelphia, and we're doing a fantastic job there.
Sounds like it.
It's so great that we have the commissioner, the former commissioner who was there on our board of directors, as well as the CIO. We are early into the market because there's just a new push to integrate this. So when I talk about being early into the market's not ready to buy our product. There are some, but it's not widespread because they're used to doing things the way that they're doing it. So we're working with about 15 different cities on educating them on really bringing them up to speed to say, this is what we can do for you. And of course, we have to go through the RFP process, and that also takes a little longer. But, we've been doing it for the past 4 years, and we're doing good.
What are the challenges for these clients to implement your strategies?
We are, like I said, we're cookie cutter. All we literally do, so we don't even disrupt operations. We actually integrate all of that data into a cloud environment that it's either they're in charge of or we manage for them. But daily operations continue. Now they have the complete picture of the entire city. So it's not difficult at all. Okay.
So a lot of the resources are already available. It doesn't take a big new commitment from them. It's just leveraging the existing resources appropriately. Mm-hmm. Okay. Excellent. And so what's one of the bigger challenges you have implementing the system or explaining to people, or maybe even just scaling your own company, right? There's got to be some big challenges in this.
Well, there are. So like I said, we're early into the market. So it's really a change in that mindset. It's moving them from looking at something this way to saying, let's do it holistically. So a lot of times government agencies tell me, my data is too dirty. I don't want to show it. But that's not an excuse, right? Just because you have dirty data does not mean that people should die.
Right. Okay, so that's one of the bigger challenges is getting them to adopt technological systems and get just their general comfort with them, not to mention the sensitivity of the information.
Exactly. And, it's more about sharing the data. And so I think that there's a lot going on that, we will have to be more transparent. Government agencies will have to be more transparent about their data. To give you an example, there was one city that claimed that a homeless person costs $10,000. We actually did an assessment and found out that individual experiencing homelessness was actually costing the city with all of the services over $84,000.
Holy cow.
Right. So, you look at that and say, for $84,000 a year, I can buy them a house and hire someone to take care of that person, right? But it behooves communities to keep that number low, because when we think about paying $10,000 for someone who's homeless, that's not a lot of money, right? When you look at 84,000 and you have someone working at a minimum wage job that is not they're working really hard for that. That's a lot of money. They're like, I'm better off being homeless. I get more services. So it behooves the government agencies to keep that number very, very low, and the population also very, very low. Another city did not even know how many homeless people they had. They estimated 2,500. We found that they had 4,700 people, because every time a person does not give the name, they're counted as a John or Jane Doe. So they had over 1,700 John and Jane Doe. They were individuals, right? Again, that number has to be low because mayors don't get elected on high homeless populations or crime rates, right?
Okay. So that's very impactful. I'm very impressed with your model and system and the work you're doing. What are sort of your goals for the company? Do you have like a 1, 3, 5, 10-year plan? Yeah. We want to be installed in 5 years. We want to be installed in 30 different communities, and then really to take this global, because, I forgot to mention, we were just named the top 50 global resilient solutions by Leading Cities and QBE Insurance. We were number 15, actually. And I think that's because we're focused only on the US. We're not focused globally. Sure. And the goal is to get the installs completed and people doing it, and then be acquired by consulting companies or a large company so they can take it global. So when it comes to scalability, we can do so many, but when you have the power of Accenture or Deloitte, you can actually just take it global immediately. Okay, so potentially being integrated or in sort of an exit, if you will, for you in whenever that happens in the next few years, potentially.
Exactly.
Okay, excellent. Very exciting. Very exciting. So a lot of people looking towards the future are looking for ways they can create passive income or enhance or even replace their active income, right? A lot of business owners are looking for the next business or multiple businesses, right? So they can diversify and have a little more stability in that sense, but also they can start having income that they can start buying back a little bit more of their time. They don't usually, like, you're in the startup phase. I imagine you're working a lot and really hard on your company right now. That's a yes.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that, or sort of legacy plans or investing plans?
I have actually not thought about that. I let my brother handle a lot of my things. My father handled it, because, that is, if you were to tell me I needed to do that, I would be like, I don't need to. We've got a financial advisor. He takes care of that. And so for me, I focus primarily on what I love to do. And I'm so fortunate to love what I do that it doesn't become work. So it doesn't bother me that I spend 24/7. But yeah, no, I think that hiring someone to take care of those challenges, who knows what they're doing, is the best. I don't want to stress about it. As long as I have money coming in, I'm good.
Sure. Kind of like your business, right? You want to have a team with the right people in the right seats helping you out.
Exactly.
Yep. A lot of businesses put all their time and resources into their business owners and stuff, and then they don't have sort of the security or the the diversity required for hiccups along the way and other things that happen. And so it's just the nature of, as being an entrepreneur, it's often very demanding. And so they live and die by their businesses. And so but let's start. Let me just ask you, you can't be too risk averse if you're doing what you're doing, right? And you started a company and so forth. That takes some courage, to say the least. So
It is not for the faint of heart.
No. Can you speak to that a little bit? The challenges with branching out and doing your own thing.
Yeah. And so I think having a solid base, a solid foundation, financial foundation to support yourself, going into it with the right mindset of, let's go do something that we're very passionate about, that we can make money. So there's a Japanese phrase, ikigai, which means that you are paid for something that you're passionate about, that you're good about, and that you have a skill. You know, one of the things that
it's the overlap of all those things, right? Is that space of, okay, right.
And also, while I was saying it, I just realized it sounds like icky guy, right?
It's also called the hedgehog concept, I believe. It's like taking the thing you love. I don't know. I don't remember why. Icky guy may be better than hedgehog. I don't know, but yes, it's find something you're passionate about that also there's a need, right? That also you can be paid for, in a sense.
Yes, exactly. And so I think that what we as entrepreneurs see is all of these people winning so much, right? And just like social media, you just see the good stuff. You don't see all of the hard work. You don't see everything. And I find that a lot of entrepreneurs, when their business does not do what they expected of it, they consider that a failure. And I think that when we changing the mindset of looking at it like, look, you tried something and maybe it's not the right time. Maybe it's, maybe you just need a little more runway, but really focusing on, what did you learn? I know over the past 4 years, I have grown so much. I was a terrible speaker. I think I still need some work there, but I was very afraid of speaking in public. I'm much better at speaking in public. I'm much better about explaining what we do, the confidence that you gain. There's so much in the community that you build. So whenever a company, maybe it has to shut down, but maybe it just needs a pause, right?
Right.
And it's about that perseverance of just going forward, because I know someone that everyone's celebrating right now just got $5 million, but he's been working on it for over a year and a half. And that is, there have been anxiety moments, tears, so much hardship that you don't see, we don't hear about. But
he's a 1 year overnight success.
Exactly. Right. And so, it takes a lot, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart. If you have any doubt in yourself, either you will come out a totally transformed person, or you'll just quit early on the first no.
That's a good point. Having the right mindset is paramount, I think, because if you take failure as the end, then yes, you have the wrong mindset. Almost all the most successful people I know, they either win or they learn and they move on, and then till the next one. And their first, second, third companies often don't hit their mark but they keep learning along the way, and then you don't lose unless you quit, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, great point. And your point on timing is also well taken, because there's a ton of examples of people who were too early to market. The people weren't ready for their great idea and so forth. So that's also very important, is to, and again, when you're a new entrepreneur, you don't always know exactly when's the right time. So you might have to shelve it for a while and circle back. But that's part of that courage muscle, right? And it is a muscle, I really think, right? You only build it by doing it.
Right. And it's a realistic view. If you can sit back and say, the market's not ready for me yet, let me just wait and really go in. Now you've already built what you need. You can tweak it much easier as technology emerges and advancements happen. But you are ready when the market is ready to just go boom. And then you become that overnight success, right? It took you 5 years to get there.
Yep. That's the highlight reel everybody sees.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Minky. If people would like to learn more about what you're doing or connect with you, what should they do?
They go to Mercurio, Mercurio.ai. I'm also the chair for the Arizona Technology Council's AI ecosystem. And if you would like to know more about what we're doing there, go to the AZ Tech Council's website or follow us on LinkedIn. We do open forums every month on the practical implementation and use cases for AI. So we just did something on how to find a job in today's AI market. We were just doing something on healthcare. So we do a lot of fun things that are informative. The way we differentiate ourselves is we have a lot of substance.
Okay.
I'm not saying
Excellent.
other people don't, but we have a lot more.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening and watching. Thank you very much, Minky Kernacs, for joining me today. We appreciate you sharing your story and insights into success and an incredible impact in different cities throughout America. It's awesome stuff.
Thank you so much.
Inspired by our guests? Visit PhoenixProsperityPodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.